computer. Okay.
Well, good evening. Very excited to see you all here for the last K-Kids and Builders Club District Administrator chat for this school year. I'm Luana Nissan. I think I know all of you. Program Manager for K-Kids Builders Club and Action Club. And why don't we go ahead and do introductions?
I'm Lisa Pyron, and I work with Luana, and I also support K-Kids Builders Club and Action Club.
And would you all like to introduce yourselves? I don't know if you know, everyone knows one another.
I'm Lonnie Johnson. I'm in the Pacific Northwest District, and I am District Administrator for Builders Club.
I'm Jana Crawford.
Thanks.
I'm
Go ahead.
thanks. Pennsylvania Builders Club.
Debbie Johnson, Pacific Northwest, K-Kids.
Judy Unrath, Michigan District, K-Kids.
Stu Waldron, Nebraska, Iowa District Builders Administrator.
We have one
Kathy
guest.
Kane, K-Kids, Pennsylvania. Hi, Janet.
I'm Joe Schwartz from the Kansas District, and I do both the K-Kids and the Builders Club.
Shh, don't tell them that you can do that, okay? Don't let anybody else know.
I'm Patsy Russell from Kentucky, Tennessee, and I'm Builders Club.
Awesome.
All right, and I'm sorry, Lisa, did you?
We have one guest that's trying to join in Pichette, but okay, let's see. Maybe she's joining another way. We'll see what happens here. Uh-oh. There she is. Ann, you hear? There she is.
So has anyone else not introduced themselves yet? Ann, are you with us?
I am sorry, my phone was freaking out. I'm Ann Pichette and I'm with Montana. If that's what we were supposed to say, I apologize.
Yeah. Thanks, Ann.
My work meeting ran over. I am so sorry.
No worries.
Okay, and this is both Builders Club and K-Kids combined meetings. So, and I'm sorry, did you introduce yourself, Kathy?
Yes, Kathy
Oh.
Kane, Allentown, Northeast, Pennsylvania. K-Kids.
Great.
Pennsylvania.
Thank you. So we just have a few reminders before we begin the conversation. So why don't we get to it? Real quickly, it's awards and contest season. And just a reminder, these are the awards that your clubs can apply for, can complete entries for. The award that is connected to completing the annual achievement report is Distinguished or Honor Club. The only way to get a Distinguished or Honor Club distinction is to complete the annual achievement report, submit that, and meet the requirements of it. So just an FYI. And some districts, some districts participate, your clubs in your districts participate a lot, and others not so much. So good thing to remind them about those, about pausing their service just a little bit to receive recognition for what they've done. The most important resources are the web pages. The K-Kids and Builders Club websites each have an awards page, and there are links to the entry forms embedded in the awards and contest guides. Those are downloadable from the website and from those awards web pages. So please take a look at those. They fully explain the rules, and there are rules for the awards. No late entries will be accepted, for instance, and this may be important to you. A person can only nominate one distinguished advisor and one distinguished officer. They can only submit one nomination. But you may have a club that has really stunningly good Kiwanis advisor as well as faculty advisor. In that case, other people in the club can nominate both advisors, right? So, and the same thing with officers. We do have clubs where each of the officers is nominated. They're just nominated by different people. So just wanted to clarify that. There's a little confusion sometimes around that rule. Again, that is the deadline. We will not accept anything late. We're hoping that there are early submissions so that we can look them over and reach out to advisors if there are any issues. So we are here to answer questions. We're really excited to talk to your advisors, so encourage them to contact us. It is also time, April 1st will be time to launch the end of year advisor and member surveys. Those are really important to us because they're the only way that we actually hear from clubs other than during these chats, hear from clubs about what members are gaining from their participation, what challenges they have, what service causes they care most about, how many projects they complete, where they're located geographically, all kinds of things. So we get the advisor's perspective and the member's perspective. We also get feedback about each of the resources that we've provided. And I think you all know that 3 years ago and 2 years ago, all of the guides or toolkits were revised. And so that feedback is really important to us because, you know, in another year or so, we will be refreshing those, so year or two. So just encouraging you, if you communicate with them, to communicate participation. And then finally, let's not let our clubs forget that we had, during the global kickoff, we announced the global service project for 2025, and that is Make Your Community Healthy. And so what we encourage clubs to do is create some type of a project or fair, wellness or health fair in their community. So we're really excited to see the variety of projects that are submitted for that. But we won't know about them unless they tell us their stories. These are the general email addresses that come to Lisa and I. So please reach out to us. And some of you have our specific email addresses. We can't put those on presentations. For hacking purposes, but do reach out to us if you have any questions, and encourage your advisors to as well. So that's it for the updates. Just wanted to let you know about those, and I will actually send an email later this week by Friday with those deadlines and some links to different resources as well. There is, just so that you know, the last advisor chats were about awards, and there are recordings of those chats, and so we'll also send you a link to those. Lisa puts those on the website, so if you want to send those links out to your advisors if they didn't participate, and considering that we have, I don't know, 3,000 advisors, they didn't all participate. So you might just want to forward that to the advisors in your district. So that's the end of kind of the formal updates. And so we would like to have a conversation. And so we will put a prompt in the chat box, and you can take a look at that rather than kind of looking at a PowerPoint and not looking at one another. We're going to put these in the chat, and looking forward to you sharing. So the first question is, do you, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, do you want to ask the group for their thoughts about a question or challenge that you've faced or are facing?
Are we supposed to write it or tell you about it?
Nope. Ask. It's a conversation, so please.
Fine. My
focal.
conversation, the challenges in both of the areas I work with is keeping people working in those areas. I can't even make it through one school year, half a year, without having the people change. If it's not the school personnel that changes and moves or something, it's the Kiwanis member who drops, and then I'm stuck with nobody to fill the position. That's my challenge.
Well, unfortunately, I think many of us have that challenge, but we had 2 or 3 builders clubs that couldn't find a faculty advisor, and so they've had to drop, and they've had them for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and they're just devastated. I tried to help, as best I could, but it's harder and harder to find. At least around here to find, because the teachers are so busy. I know that, but we've reached out to other personnel in the school. It doesn't have to be a teacher. And that worked for a little bit in one of our schools. We had someone that from the lunchroom, but their schedule's a little bit different, so it didn't quite work out. But I know you can, I think, have a parent if it's okay with the school. We haven't been able to do that either, but that is an option if there's a really involved parent or on the PTA or home and school. You could try to reach out to them too.
The best advisor that I think I've known, it was for one of our clubs that was sponsored by my club, is the head custodian. But he had a varied career background,
Mm-hmm.
and he's prior military, and but he and he was hard active. He decided to retire, and it's a hard act to follow. So that club's inactive this year because I think none of the teachers. I mean, he worked at it. He would have the club would meet on Wednesday mornings before school, and then he met the officers every Friday morning before school. And it's been a hard job to teach. It's been hard to try to talk to the administration and say, let me meet, give me a teacher to meet with, because I need to persuade him you don't have to do it like Mr. Frank did it.
Mm-hmm.
You can make this club what you want, not what, not his objectives. So I'm going back in after spring break, and I'm going to use, I think on the last chat I was on, the gentleman, from Oregon, was talking about getting the Key Club involved, and I'm going to do that because that school feeds directly into our Key Club.
Patsy, did I hear you calling me a gentleman? Be careful what you
Yes,
say.
sir. I did. No, I thought that was just such an obvious thing, and I wish I'd have thought about it, But I want to get someone in. I think the end of this year, and that's what I'm telling we have some other inactive clubs in our district. Try to get a teacher in, because I'm a retired teacher, so I understand this mentality. Get in there like immediately after spring break and try to get another teacher, a teacher in there this spring. Don't wait till school is back in session in the fall, when there's so much going on, and teachers are, you're being, kind of lambasted from all sides. So
How do you convince them?
I don't know. I haven't been that successful, but especially if I've had luck in one school, because the principal was willing just to go and directly ask teachers, but other schools, the principals, don't want to do that.
Oh, what did it for them, for the teachers to want to do it, given that they're so busy, and so it's not like it's going on their resume or something, or
I always tell them, I taught middle school. I say, it's kind of fun to work with the good kids.
I
instead of that class that you have at the end of every day that drives you up the wall. It's fun to work with the good kids. And
I have a question. Um, have you approached the kids and let them direct you to a teacher they would like?
Mhm.
I find that works with Key Club.
Right.
I looked one whole year for a Key Club advisor and couldn't find one. So I turned to the kids and I said, think you can find a new advisor. Within 2 weeks, we had a brand new advisor and he was awesome.
That is a great idea because the kids, what teacher wouldn't love it when the kids want them?
Yeah, they
Mhm.
select
Great
them.
idea.
That is a good one.
Level, do most of these advisors get compensated from the school, or is it just their own time? In your
That really varies by district. Some districts like New York, Kevin Camper was talking about how, because they've got union contracts, they cannot do anything after school or have extra duties without getting paid. But there are probably there are fewer school districts that are like that. And probably fewer that are like K kids level. Once you get into the high school, there are usually after school duties, coaching duty, clubs, clubs, athletics, and other things that teachers kind of split among them, and usually, and a lot of times there are stipends for that. There are some Kiwanis clubs that provide a stipend for their faculty advisors. It's interesting. A Kiwanis advisor contacted us and said, I feel really strange that our Kiwanis club wants to give me a stipend, and I don't want to accept it. And I was like, are they giving the faculty advisor a stipend? And that was really the big thing, like that the faculty advisor get a stipend. Like the Kiwanis advisor is invested in their club and knows that budgets are tight and there's always service to spend money on, but yeah, that varies. I don't know what you all have found. Do any of your clubs have advisors that receive faculty advisors or staff of schools or organizations that receive a stipend?
I
The
don't
school
think
district here locally, they teachers are paid a stipend. And I think the difference, this is my opinion, and Patsy, you feel free to jump in there. I think from the Kiwanis point of view, it's driven by the heart. With teachers, they're so busy, they don't have time to be driven by the heart. But if they can drag them in and get them involved, they'll probably be less interested in the stipend than they will in being driven by their heart.
Very true.
Joanna?
Um, for mine, we put the K kids in the after school program. So technically they are getting paid, but it's not like they're just doing it for us. And the same thing with the Builders Club. When we introduced that like 8 years ago, when I showed the principal the kit of what you get to help, she was like, well, I want this because she had a class that she was in charge of like a dozen kids. And so for the first 3 or 4 years, she was the one that was handling being the advisor. So now she rotates it around to other teachers and they do it during the day. This is not after school.
Just a couple of things to what you said. First, about stipends, one of the issues for faculty is that there's not reimbursement for what they spend money on. And the reality is that clubs have costs, and most teachers care that their kids come to the club hungry. There are kids that just don't have food. And so it's really those costs that they'll spend some of their stipend on. The other is that they may be turning down extra duties that could earn them extra money, and teachers don't make a lot of money to do this. So I wouldn't look down on stipends. It's really an incentive, and it's not about it's not that the people who care most are going to do it and not get paid for it. It doesn't quite work that way. But so that's one thing. The other thing is that just to mention that some that we have done presentations about strategies for how to talk to school leaders. It's really important that I love that you talked about, Joanne, showing them the materials. It's important that the school leadership and district leadership understand that our programs do some of what they're trying to accomplish anyway. They build skills like communication and team building and hard skills and soft skills like empathy and so many skills. Our surveys ask members about and teachers about that. And then they also focus on social emotional learning, which is kind of the language of schools. So being able to talk about those things is important. And finally, it's important to, sorry. Some clubs are in after-school programs, and sometimes that works the best for a school system. It really depends on, what the advisor wants. But love that you all talked about, custodians and librarians, either in a school or in a library, can serve as advisors as well. So are you ready to move on, or does anyone else have anything else to share? Thank you for all of those ideas. So the next question is, if you happen to have one or more advisors who are really responsive to your emails or calls or webinars that you happen to put on, and they communicate with you, what do you think what have been the keys that has made that work for you? Because responsiveness, talking to administrators and advise to administrators, that is one of the most frustrating things. So that's the question. And any thoughts about that?
One thing I've noticed, I've been doing this for a few years now. It took me probably a good solid 2 years before I would get any responses from any emails I sent out, whether it was a faculty or a Kiwanis advisor. I think I had one that was really good at sending me information of what they did every year, like a yearly update. And that, unfortunately, that club folded. And the builders and key clubs were taken on by other Kiwanis. K Kids was not, but they kept it at the school and just reestablished it at the school as a club. But I do have another one that does respond occasionally, but that has been the biggest challenge, is just to get them to respond. So it took a lot of time.
So Debbie, are you saying just be patient and keep
I serious. I was thinking, at first, is my email going out? Are people reading, and then finally it took a good, like I said, 2 years before I even get an answer of anything. And yeah.
I found a huge difference between, Kathy, maybe you can verify this, between K Kids and Builders Club. K Kids, I couldn't get, how long was I there? 2 years, 3 years? I couldn't get anything. And I finally quit because I couldn't get a response. And Builders Club, like today I'm calling Lisa about an issue that I needed it because somebody's asking me, and then somebody asked me something else, and then I sent out an email about the the awards, and I got things back that said, I don't know whether it's a difference in the kids, in the level or whatever, but it's a vast difference. Like I'm all anxious to stay for next year, and when I had K Kids, I was like about ready to hang myself.
Yeah,
Kathy,
you
do you?
hear back from people? You send out emails and it's like, do I have the right email?
Yeah. And that K Kids, that's brutal. There's a vast difference between the two. So you're feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
I know I just sent something out because I wanted to do help our past governor do a book project. And lo and behold, all of the clubs replied except one. I couldn't believe it. It's the first time.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Oh, don't, it's not too amazing. We only have 6.
It's still, I've got 50 some and I get 3 responses and I think that's pretty good. So, geez.
Our district gave us some money for promoting K Kids and builders. So I even emailed them and I was telling them, and what is there anything they need? And I said, how about if I make you some brochures and send them to you? Still didn't hear. I maybe heard from 2 people. I'm like, really? Free brochures and you still can't respond.
That
But
was your school district or your Kiwanis district?
Kiwanis District. Our last 2 governors, SLPs have been their main focus. And so then somebody passed away and left some money, and so they decided to put it into a grant for SLP administrators. So yeah.
Can I ask how much that money was? Sue, can you share that?
I'm thinking it was $500 over maybe 3 years.
Have you thought about giving like a mini grant?
Yes, they want it for promotion.
Oh,
That's
well,
what I wanted to do.
I mean, that's not what schools are going to be interested in. They're going to be interested in money for their service projects or
Right.
supply.
Yeah, this was specifically for promoting.
Yeah.
They had other monies at one time that could have been used for that. That's what they said when I gave my proposal. I wanted to give something to each school, but this money was specifically for that, so that they couldn't do that.
Girl.
I think it's important though just to keep trying, keep, I usually get one more each time. And so just keep trying and let them know you're there and you're there to help them. And then when you get a response, you're like, wow, that's wonderful.
Are you surprised that the Kiwanis advisors are not more responsive since you're Kiwanians?
I'm the secretary of my club and I send out a weekly email. I don't think half of them look at it, so I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. No.
And the biggest thing is they're very busy, very busy. So, and I know how many newsletters and things I get from things that I don't look at either. So yeah, can only do what you can do. So
I also question how active the Kiwanis advisor is with the K Kids Club at the school. When you don't get any response from year to year, you wonder maybe they hardly ever go, or I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
They can't
I think
respond.
that's common. I think that's common with builders too. They don't show up as much as the teachers, obviously, um, and they're more involved in name only.
I was the K Kid advisor for one of our schools and I went to every single
Good.
one of the meetings and they folded this year.
Yeah.
Kathy,
I kept
yeah.
trying to ask them, when are we going to get started? And the woman, I guess she just decided she didn't want to do it. And I just kind of lost contact. But after spring break, I'm going to get back into that school and say, let's see if we can get this up and going.
I think, Kathy, I think you were an exception rather than the rule, unfortunately.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we have a K Kids at another school and I had to fill in for the Kiwanis advisor, and I was really kind of disappointed to see that it was not student led. It was the faculty advisor doing everything. And I didn't feel it was my place to say, why is it going this way? So I have to talk to that Kiwanis advisor and say, I thought this was a student-led organization.
And have you had the experience that when you go in there and you have something like that, just that you're really an appendage, you're kind of there, but you're really not. And some clubs, some are really enthusiastic, like two of ours, the Builders Club and the Key Clubs are really, really, but one Builders Club 2 years ago, she really didn't, it was like
Didn't
kind of
feel
like
very
this.
in anything.
And then now the new advisor, they're a team and she's all about it. So there are two of us that go to Builders Club, two Kiwanis members, and then two advisors, faculty advisors. So, and then they actually, with a new advisor, they actually have the kids leading. So it's gone from strictly an advisor led that they didn't want anything to do with Kiwanis members to now there's all, it really, often just really is the people who are leading it.
Mhm.
I mean, that's typical of even just teachers in schools. Some are really about engaging the students to lead and to discover, and others lecture or they run everything. So student empowerment is not an easy thing, even for faculty members. So
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a lot slower process. For instance, if a group of middle schoolers starts planning a project, it takes a lot of patience to sit back and and let them make mistakes. And since they don't have any sense of time to try to teach them about it, we kind of need a timeline. What are we going to do when? And so I think that's kind of hard for a lot of advisors because we're used to wanting to make things work, work, work.
Mhm.
And I know with middle schoolers, that's a challenge.
Mhm.
So
I think that you would find a lot of research that would show that if the teacher is a good guide, their learning outcomes will be far more
yeah,
powerful if they are actually doing even if they do less projects. I mean, that's really the thing. I think sometimes we focus on how many projects are we going to get done this year. They start with the list instead of starting with inquiry and trying to explore what's new that's going on in the community and what do the kids want to do. So yeah, there has to be a balance for the students' benefits, right? Anything else that you'd like to share before we move on?
Well, from my side, I want to share the experience from Panama. From Panama district, we implemented a new pillar in our commission about the leadership program. It's about the pillar of innovation. In innovation, we implemented a showcase for all the country where the K-Kids Builders Club, Key Club shows the projects, the improvement that they have, because here in Panama, we are a school so far each other, so it's too much difficult connect between them. So we create this showcase when they share to the principal and teachers what they are doing in different part of the country. So that help us to the teacher involve more, engage more with the projects, with the K Kids and the Builders Club. And one of the card that we use many times, it's one of two of our members of the Builder Club now are president of Kiwanis Club. So that's a card that we use here in Panama that it's so impressive for them and also help us engage with them and connect with them.
Nice.
That's great.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Christian, is that a virtual innovation showcase?
Yes, for Innovation Showcase in Panama district, we usually invite them face to face, but it's too much difficult because some of them are so far. So we implemented virtual and face to face.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Really great.
I will just say that innovation was a very hot topic before the pandemic in schools. Design thinking, innovation, maker spaces, all of that really has changed education, and then kids ended up back at home. But so that is a great example of using language that works with schools.
Mhm. Mhm.
So here's another question. Would you like to share, and you started us off with this, Christian, would you like to share a favorite service story from one of your clubs or I guess across your district?
I don't have a favorite one from the K Kids, but I do want to point out that our Kiwanis Club in our school district is a part of their, I don't know what they call the committees. Uh, it's with all the principals, there's some parents, there's the rec commission, the city manager. We all meet quarterly. And Kiwanis gets, our 5 minutes to talk about our K Kids and our Builders Club. They didn't let us in with Key Club. But I'm very proud that we got invited. So I make sure someone is there representing Kiwanis at these big events.
Well, I may have told this one already, but I had a really outstanding president of a builders club, and she got invited to our Kiwanis Midwinter to speak. And this young lady was just so bright and articulate and prepared. They gave her during the lunch session an opportunity to give up, and she had a PowerPoint and just did an absolutely outstanding job. Most of the adults in the room probably couldn't have done as good a job as this young lady did. So afterwards, everybody was so moved by it. We held a miracle minute. I'm sure you're all familiar with miracle minutes. And we raised $500. So I gave it to her father, who was there, um, as a reward to go back to the Builders Club. And now I have reached out to her father to be my replacement as Builders Club district administrator. And he just jumped right in the middle of it. He thinks that's just awesome. So um, I've been doing Builders Club a while, and I think it's time to let somebody with a little more energy, a little different focus step in.
It's a great story.
Well, from my side, as I mentioned, well, here we have two members of the Builders Club and two members for the Key Club that now became president of a club. One of them was the first president that we have from a Key Club we opened here in 2007. Uh, we opened a key club here in Panama, and now she became the president of the Panama Canal Club. So here it's a huge achievement that we have here. And when the second one, it's me. I came from a key club, and I when I have the age of 18, I opened the first youth club here in Panama. I became the president, and now I am 21 years old, and I'm the program of leadership program like director for Panama District. I work with the governor here, so it's a huge challenge. Manage so much clubs, and well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, and in the future, I don't know if I became a governor, but I hope so.
Christian, I have to tell you, from my point of view, you look like you're about the age of a key clubber. Of course, I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum, and I can't think of anybody better to direct people like that.
Absolutely.
Any others? Okay. Okay, well then last question. Is there something that you learned or a system that you created that you think would be helpful to other administrators?
Well, Patsy alluded to it, and I'm going to reiterate it again. Um, I find that I go to Key Club District Convention and I put on a workshop for Builders Club. And I encourage key clubbers to get involved in starting a Builders Club. And I find that those kids, the Builders Club, key clubbers is what they aspire to be. They're anxious to become high school and join Key Club and the whole thing. So they're a lot more willing to listen to them, to high schoolers, than they are to us gray hairs. No offense, any of you in the audience with gray hair, and Christian is not one of those. But I find that the Key Clubbers going into the school, the kids tend to pay closer attention because and the Key Clubbers love mentoring somebody younger than themselves to bring them up. So I think I've had, when I had 10 new Builders Club last year, and 6 of them were started by Key Club.
Wow.
I do have a question. I noticed in some of the paperwork that was sent to me that we had a new K-Kids Club that I didn't even know about. Nobody had sent me anything. And does this happen all the way around, that all of a sudden one pops up on your paperwork that you didn't even know was starting? Debbie's saying yes. Okay, because I was just wondering if, sometimes I think I'm there, but nobody sees me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like Lonnie. I go to all of winter, midwinter, decon, icon, you name it. Anything in my district, I'm there with the table. And yet I'm the last to know if somebody closes or if somebody opens. I don't know.
Okay, I don't feel so bad then.
My governor has sent me notices of 2 Builders Club openings. She just forwarded the email that she got from Kiwanis International. So maybe
Yeah.
that's
It said something to the district office and they said, no, we didn't know. And I go, okay.
I mean, sometimes, sorry, hello everyone. I'm sorry I was late. I had CKI call and I have dinner and I have another call in 15 minutes. So I'm trying to do a lot, but sometimes they just appear from a parent or a school, or they have no contact or talk to Kiwanis and they're like, we need you to help us find a Kiwanis sponsor. So Kiwan always gets all of those charters. We can try to see if there's a way anytime a new one comes in. Lisa and Luana add them to the newsletter so that I know they're aware of them as well. But if you're saying that you don't know about some of them that are coming in, maybe we can just, send you a note when we have one that comes in. So you can reach out to them and welcome them. And even just, it maybe you already know, but sometimes it sounds like you don't. So,
yeah.
We could send them out to you when we start to get the newsletters
I
ready.
think that's when
that's within a month.
Yeah.
Usually within a couple of weeks. Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
might be the
surprised. I
quickest.
thought either I'm doing something right or we're starting a club, or
Judy, so clubs are started in so many ways. Like I talked to the Florida district administrator for K-Kids, and K-Kids has been in Florida for a long time. And she really gets notified that clubs are starting and really has nothing to do with it a lot of times because the Kiwanis clubs are so motivated to start SLPs. So, and the districts know about all of our club lines. Some of the school districts know about all of our club lines. So yeah, there's lots of reasons why that could happen.
well, if you have a chance to put on a presentation at one of your districts anything. Yeah, that's what I did. But it could have been, I should go back in those papers and see if it was one of the people that, came to my talk. Thank you. I needed that. I will.
It would be very useful for you to know. I mean, that's a good way to, look at that as cost benefit analysis. Like, of course, part of your responsibilities as administrator is being an ambassador. So it's really spreading the word about your club line. And you really want to keep hitting that messaging for Kiwanians because club growth, one of the greatest opportunities for club growth are the SLPs in their communities, right? You've just talked about that yourself, Christian. Great examples. Thank you. So yeah. Anne, do you want to go ahead and share?
I actually was just wondering if I could ask a question of the group, if that's okay, based on the things some of you have just suggested. I am wondering how you go about getting to the point that you can have a workshop or a talk or a session at your Kiwanis events. How do you get to that point so that you can raise the awareness with clubs? Because, Montana is geographically big, but people small. So I've 11 builders clubs, but our key club is over 900 key clubbers. Like they just increased over 100 members this year. So we want to help them get more, but I'm running into a little bit of trouble getting the word out at the Kiwanis district level. Do you have suggestions?
What I did was I was at the district meeting. And so I had them all sitting right there. And I said, I would really like to do this at our decon. So, I just give me 1 hour. I don't need a whole lot. And just let me, and if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. But I thought I did kind of well because we had like 14 people that came wanting to know about K-Kids.
I
So
was going to say, we just have to ask the district secretary that we want to be listed in the agenda somewhere. We don't get an hour, we can get 30 minutes or 35. But, and the same thing with having a table. We can have it at mid-year and we can also have it at the district convention. The district secretaries are the boss.
Yes. And I have a question for you. I'm based on your conversation, I'm assuming you don't have like an SLP luncheon at midwinter or decon as Kiwanis decon, I mean.
Um, Not that I've had in my experience, but I've only been doing this since 2012 as an adult. So we haven't had those. We did at our last decon, there was like a 45-minute or 1 hour session that we did Builders Club, Key Club, and Circle K all together. And we did one group presentation about kind of the responsibilities of Kiwanians and what they can do to help and how they can help foster the youth leadership. But it's been a little bit hard and we're not part of board meetings or anything. And it's been hard to find out when those are. And so I just didn't know, we ask to be involved. And so I think we maybe just need to keep asking until we are, is kind of what I'm hearing, because it sounds like a lot of you have been really working so hard for so many years at this that I can learn a lot from you.
Well, I have to admit, I think I believe it was Joanna that said the secretary is your go-to person. Insist that they have something at all of the Kiwanis events, and then I would reach out to district administrator or Key Club and say, I want to put on a workshop at because they never have enough. I mean, and you're talking about 900 kids. We've got, I think, what was it? Or you said 9,000. I said in the PNW, I think we have 13 or 14,000 key clubbers. That fills up a big space, and they're delighted to have me come in and talk about Builders Club.
That is the one thing, the Key Club district administrators and the Key Club district board is amazing. And last year we did a special Builders Club session at Key Club, and the Kiwanis governor has encouraged that again for this year. And so I've been working with them. So we do have that at the Key Club at the Key Club decon, special Builders Club related, which is great.
Don't give up.
But I am going to come steal some ideas from you on how to get the Key Clubbers to help be the sponsors, because I love that.
You bet. I'm willing to help.
In some districts for mid-year or even district convention, there will be there is not enough time to have each of the SLPs present or have a session, so they combine them. I don't know if that's the case with any of those districts represented here.
That's what Lonnie was saying. At the Pacific Northwest, we do an SLP luncheon one of the days during decon. And that way it's not taking up class time, for other things, but we all get our portion to talk about, do whatever you want. But we all get up there, all the SLPs are invited. And that way you have them all because you're eating. They're all sitting in there eating lunch. So yep.
I'm a firm believer with any of the functions, feed them and they will come.
Okay, is there anything else that you'd like to ask or share?
I have an administrative question that I had as a Builders Club and a K-Kids. And we were touched on it earlier, but in a different way. So my I download the Excel and then I create my own, stuff, but then I don't, so the inactives are highlighted a certain way but I don't know when, I don't know how to update it. I don't get where do you get the notifications and how do you know that a club is inactive or not inactive unless the club itself tells you? Is there anything from KI that does it? Is there so 5 years and I have yet to figure this out. So maybe I'll get it tonight.
Lisa, do you want to speak to that or do you want me to?
No, you can speak to it.
Okay. So each week, I'm sorry. Well, each week the district reports are updated on the Kiwanis website, and there's a paid membership report. And so that will be updated if your clubs have paid. So I guess that's one way. And then the best resource you have in your district are the Kiwanis club secretaries, the district secretaries and the club secretaries, because they should really be notifying Kiwanis International and you when clubs go inactive or clubs reactivate. So they're really your main resource. But
Well, we've already had that discussion.
Yeah. But we have in the spring, we notify, invoices are on the club, in the club secretary's portal to be paid, and they're notified multiple times. And then in the spring, they are notified when they go inactive. So really, I think Michelle, is it like March or mid-February to look at those inactive lists, because that's when they really would be updated?
Well, so I think what happens a lot of times is by February 1st is when they're supposed to pay, right? But we usually give a little bit of a leeway, so it ends up being mid-February. And I believe emails are going out next week to all of the clubs that are going to be inactive. Now, Builders and K-Kids is a little different because there's an invoice put up first before you ask to be one. They just automatically put the invoice up. So right before Kiwanis convention time, finance will write off those invoices for anyone who's not paid, so that districts and clubs don't have outstanding balances, so they can apply for awards and do all that. So it's a little bit different on that, because the invoices are all up and we assume they're paid until they're not. So there's not necessarily, we don't always get told that someone's going to be inactive, and they just don't pay it. And then sometimes it's an accident and sometimes it's not. But right now, they're starting to go through all of that, and usually by mid-March or so is when they make those invoices. They just write them off because more than likely they're not going to pay. I mean, we can have reports run. I can't say that we can do this every day for everybody all the time, but Jan, if you're like, I'd like to really take a look at all my inactive clubs for the last few years and do something with it, we can surely get you that report very easily. We are going to start looking at all of the inactive clubs from the last 2 years and start reaching out to sponsoring Kiwanis clubs, the secretaries and presidents, to say, hey, we're just wondering, if there's any way we can help or anything you might need. Do you know what happened with this? Just kind of trying to see maybe why there's a lot. Builders Club, for the first time in a long time, didn't grow over last year, which is kind of, a little bit odd because most every it's been going up. So we're gonna try and reach out to inactive clubs, but there isn't necessarily a way for you to be notified when it happens.
Okay, that's the answer to the question. And trying to get them to respond is the same issue we were talking about before. And when they're inactive, sometimes the advisors, not the Kiwanis advisors necessarily, but the faculty advisors are slightly hostile because
Sure.
they're not doing that, and they really don't want you to. So it is that's a topic that probably needs some massaging over time. I called Lisa today because I have this club, one club that's very proactive, and they're very concerned because they didn't have an advisor. The advisor fell through, so they didn't have it at the second part of the year. So they're very concerned if they didn't pay, were they going to go inactive? And if they inactive, what happened to them? So Lisa and I sort of tried to problem solve that, and still is kind of waiting. It was that the Kiwanis Club is going to get a slap on the wrist for, not having a club that hasn't, when they're both saying, we can't do anything about this. You can make us inactive, but don't slap us on the wrist for it because we're trying our best. So I think that's another area. There's no answer to that one either, because it's the machine that's going to do it.
Janet, I think there's a couple of related issues, though. Sometimes Kiwanis clubs just don't even pay to renew their club, even though it's an active club. They don't pay until sometime into the school year, sometimes in the second semester of the school year. That's too late for them to receive their materials. But also, one thing that you all should know is we do not give any awards for contests or the distinguished awards to clubs that are inactive, that have an inactive status. They have to have paid. They have to have either paid, or their Kiwanis club paid their renewal fees for the year. We don't call them dues for K-Kids and Builders Club. They're renewal fees. So just so you know.
Yeah, this is much more about not getting punished for trying their best. And if they wanted to be inactive, they needed to be inactive, that was fine, but they didn't want to be punished for still trying. And that was the core issue.
Anything else before we wrap up?
I just want to say I enjoyed Lisa's blanket standing up and turning around. I was like, what's happening back there? That's a cool dog.
Yeah, he kind of fits in. You can't tell he's there. I gotta go that
No,
way.
it was a blanket the whole time until it stood up, turned around, and laid back.
Like the kitty cat.
Yeah, he's good when we're in meetings. Otherwise, he's a loudmouth. He's just like Scooby-Doo. If you remember Scooby-Doo, every minute. But he's been good through this meeting, which is good.
Like this one, she has to come up and sit with me to see the people who I'm talking to.
Oh,
I saw her.
She's just a little thing.
Oh, she's adorable.
Oh.
All right. Well,
Well,
thanks
Lisa,
for having these meetings.
Sometimes it is Lisa's throw because her throw looks just like her dog. So
Yeah.
that really throws you for a minute when the throw it looks like
What's
a throw
that?
and then it starts moving. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all that you do to serve children and students and the adults that work with our clubs. We are so grateful for that. And please do reach out to either Lisa or I for anything that you need. And we may reach out as well.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great seeing
Lisa
everyone.
and
Thanks, everyone.
Kawana, you guys have been an
Bye-bye.
absolute godsend for me. Thank you
Oh,
very much.
Lonnie, you're very
Well,
kind.
thank you.
Thank you.